Hi everyone, it's Pamela Ferguson, and recently I read this article about how much debt people are carrying by generation. I am a Gen Xer, and I am sad to say and announce right here that our generation has the highest amount of debt than any other generation. Our generation has the highest amount of debt than any other generation. How can people work to pay this debt down without, what are the first steps? Even before you change your lifestyle, what can they do? And you will, unfortunately, probably have to change your lifestyle to help pay off those bills. But let's not even go there yet. Let's just first start, how do we do it? The first thing is you have to make an inventory of all your items. So what do you have? You have a home or rent, your car, student loans, whatever it may be. If you have student loans, if you have credit card debt, and I want you to list them out. And there's two kinds of debt. We have installment and then we have revolving. So the difference between those is installment debt is that it's for a certain amount of installments. So it's like, okay, this loan is for 60 months and it's at $100 a month. Okay, right? That's installment. It's a set amount every month for a set period of time. And then you have revolving, and that's more like your credit cards and things like that, where it's constantly changing. Your interest rate may be changing, your balance is changing. It's a revolving thing that just keeps going from month to month to month. There's no end date, so it's revolving. So make a list and separate them into those two categories, one installment and one revolving, and then each list, this is how we're going to look at them. Really, let's start with the revolving. I would list them with the highest interest rate first, and then the one with the lowest balance, and kind of work down from there. So the top one that's going to be on your list is going to be the one with the highest interest rate and the lowest balance. And then the bottom one would be the lowest interest rate with the highest balance. And that's how I want you to do the revolving. And so depending on you, you're like, listen, I don't have like a bunch of extra cash. I can't pay extra on these. I pay the minimum every month. Totally been there. Been there most of my life. Most of my life before I started doing these tips on what to do. So you've made your list, and I want you to say, okay, I'm going to write down what is the minimum amount on each one. Keep in mind these are revolving, so the minimum is going to change every month by what you purchase. So it's going to change. So you'll just have to do what your current minimum balance due is, or minimum amount is due. List those all down. And so I want you to pay, except for the top one, the minimum on every single other one. This is the tactic that I use to help pay off 21 student loans. Did this exact thing. So number one, let's say all your minimum payments are, we're just throwing numbers out there, $500, right? $500 are the minimum. But you're like, oh, well, I've got after expenses and housing and my car, I've got $600 to spend. Again, this is just an example. You pay off all the minimums, and then on that very top one with the highest interest rate and the lowest balance, you pay that extra $100 just on that one. And I want you to remain just laser focused on that one loan. Don't try to pay off a little, chunks of each of them. Laser focused on the one until that's gone. Now, if we look, and then once that's done, where do you go laser focus on next? Number two loan. Because the reason why you choose the highest interest rate with the lowest balance is that even if there's something that maybe has, let's say you have two interest rates. One is 23.9 and the other one is 25. These are really high because we're talking credit cards, right? So 25 and 23.9. So they're not that far apart, but let's say one of the balances much, much lower. One of the balances is 3,000 and the other one's like 9,000. Even though the interest rate might be a tad lower, I might choose to pay the one with the lower balance because, first of all, it helps you feel accomplished because you're like, hey, I don't even have that loan anymore. And then you can also laser focus on the next one faster. You're gonna pay it off faster. So I would say focus every extra penny that you have should go toward that bill. Now, for some of you, you're saying, you know what, I don't have any savings, I've got to do that too. And you can build them both in the same time, at the same time. Don't solely focus on paying off debt, though that should be your primary. You also need to build savings for emergency situations too. So a couple different ways that I have personally done it is that, okay, let's say I've got, just for easy numbers, $100 extra, like after I've paid all my things, that I want to apply somewhere, right? So I'll either do a 90-10 or a 75-25 split. And that means, like, out of that $100, I'm either gonna take $90 and put it on that top, that number one on my list of, revolving debt, and $10 into a savings account somewhere that's away from me that I can't access for an emergency fund. What if my car breaks down? What if there's a medical expense, right? Those kinds of things. Or a 75-25. So I put $75 on laser focus on that first one and $25 aside. You're doing two things here. You're paying down debt as you're building. There are some people that say, well, you're not going to make 25%, so you shouldn't put anything away. I get that. I totally get that. However, that's why I like the percentages, like a 90-10, a 75-25, where you feel that you can accomplish kind of both and build them at the same time. So when you're carrying debt, you should try to work on both. The split can be whatever you want it to be, but usually the two that I've played with is the 90-10 and the 75-25, and they've worked successful for me. And they've helped me pay off my debt as well as building up emergency funds when I need it. So hopefully we got that covered today for the revolving. That is a simple way without changing any of your habits to try to laser focus in on those debts and get them paid off.